Warning, photosensitivity, lights and strobes.
If you like what I do, please subscribe and click the bell so that you never miss a video. Support me on Patreon, link in the description. I didn't expect the Third Reich to show up, but when they did, I shot them in the fucking face. The 1940s have returned, complete with food rationing, and I have been desperately trying to remain coherent and clear-headed all year. I have been occupying my time playing games about slaughtering Nazis and releasing videos about my bloody adventures in the worlds of Blood Rain and The Saboteur, but I've had enough of doing this piecemeal. I'm surrendering to the mental fog and disorientation, allowing myself to finally become the Joker.
Hunka hunka!
The time for sporadic catharsis has passed. Go big or go home. I'm gonna be exterminating Nazis all month long. It's all I care about now. It's Kill All Nazis November.
Hunka hunka!
For the challenge, I shall begin with a game that contains no Nazis in its vanilla form but can be populated with Nazis if properly modded. Just Cause 2. Normally, the baddies in Just Cause 2 are from a fictional Asian archipelago nation called Panau, a thinly veiled jab at North Korea, but with one mod, the people of Panau can be Nazified, and the series protagonist, Rico Rodriguez, can be transmogrified into Indiana fucking Jones. Last crusade, you say? No, you'll have your last crusade when I'm good and ready, Dr. Jones. So put on your hat, because this mod does not have one, and let's go!
All right, everybody, it's time to kick this pig!
Just Cause 2 begins in the air with Indiana Jones, getting the lowdown on Panau from his handler, Maria. The CIA had a good relationship with their hand-picked stooge dictator, but the dictator's son, a man named Baby Panay, assumed leadership by murdering his father. The CIA can't have someone unfriendly to American interests out there existing. The agency needs Baby Panay out of the picture. A CIA operative named Tom Sheldon has gone dark in Panau, and the agency thinks he may have turned.
Oh, hell. I was running out of ammo anyway.
Dude, a man just died. The action in Just Cause 2 is pitch perfect, extremely emotionally satisfying. The player has missions to complete, but more missions only appear when the chaos meter goes up. And what makes the chaos meter rise? Blowing shit up. Because of the mods, the incinerations and meltdowns are all at the expense of the Nazi party. In the vanilla version of the game, the precious resources of Panau are wasted in hopes of choking out Baby Panay. Of course, his people are who actually suffer. It's like Sanctions, but with more explosions than usual. But in the Indiana Jones mod, the good versus evil of it all is much clearer. The grappling hook is modified to look more brown and more like a whip, but it functions exactly the same way. Same with the weapons. Railing kill. The grappling and stunts conjure images of action movies as much as action games. Just Cause 2 follows the Grand Theft Auto gameplay model and control scheme. My fingers and thumbs know exactly where the get in the car / hijack button is, because it's in the same exact position as GTA, Saints Row, and everything else. In addition to automobiles, there are motorcycles for motorcycling, helicopters for helicoptering, boats, jets, everything. But JC2 is not running on the Rockstar engine, it's running on Havoc, best known for being the thing that makes Fallout characters ragdoll and explode into chunks. You know, Fallout chunks? Here are some of my favorite physics breaks. The game's environment is a combination of cityscapes and lush wilderness, which makes driving its own special adventure. I love cutting through the forest to get where I'm going. Just Cause 2 fucking rules, and playing it as Antifa super soldier Indiana Jones somehow elevates an already amazing game. Nothing like burning a bunch of Nazis alive. Speaking of which...
Nazis. I hate these guys.
There exists some wonky arithmetic that states something 10 years old is outdated, 20 years old is retro cool, and 30 years old or more is back to being outdated, never to become cool again. which is why everyone was surprised when Nazis Kool-Aid manned back onto the scene. World War II ended in 1945, and the reactionary movement that brought back the Nazis started percolating around 70 years later in 2015. You could argue that it started sooner or that it never truly ceased, depending on how much you were paying attention, but we all know when and where the brightest flashpoint was, June 16, 2015 at Trump Tower in New York City. 2015 was the 70th anniversary of the end of the most devastating conflict in human history. Pop quiz, do you even know what the 70th anniversary gift is without looking it up or just guessing? It's platinum. The reason you probably didn't know that is because if a married couple is alive long enough to hit the platinum anniversary, they tied the knot in middle school. It's now 2025, 80 years since the end of World War II. The traditional 80th anniversary gift is oak, which makes sense because that's what caskets are made of, but I digress. All the big trends from the 40s are back. Wide ties, the measles, and the annihilation of ethnic groups. Playing Just Cause 2 as Indiana Jones might seem like a strain of the imagination. Rico Rodriguez's clothes have changed, his grappling hook is recolored to look like a whip, enemies reskinned to look like Nazis, vehicles reworked to look like the Third Reich lasted at least until the early 21st century. But his face is not remodeled and the hat is absent. Plus, the cutscenes always refer to Panau as Panau and not Nazi Germany. The story remains the same, regardless of the aesthetic changes in the mod. Nevertheless, I don't find it too challenging to suspend my disbelief. Doesn't everyone do this? Doesn't everyone play video games while inventing a world around the game that is not necessarily laid bare in the lore and the cutscenes? Back when video games barely had a story, I usually made up my own. I play CRPGs while trying to make decisions based on my character's personality more than my own. Why not do this in a sandbox? I'm pretty sure that's common for players of Grand Theft Auto Online. There is added incentive in playing as the famed and fictional archaeologist, mostly related to killing Nazis. We are living in an era of encroaching fascism. A number of nations have adopted its ideology or elected leaders who have. My own nation is currently suffering under an administration that nudges us ever closer to worst-case scenarios. ICE is the new Gestapo, disappearing people, terrorizing the population. Don't you just want to kill Nazis? I will never tire of blowing stuff up. The carnage, the mayhem, the heat of the fire psychosomatically felt through my monitor. On my way to important missions about rescuing hostages and broadcasting propaganda, my eyes dart back and forth, capturing the color red. Do I have time between missions to level a gas station? Can I do it without killing any civilians? And do I care? What makes this so satisfying? Am I a pyromaniac, or is Just Cause 2 so perfectly tuned and timed that the gorgeous fireballs ignite that dopamine rush for everyone? I never tire of it, but that's not only because of the stimming repetition. The explosions, the chaos can be conjured up in a variety of ways. Sure, there is always chucking grenades and firing guns, but what about using vehicles? My favorite madcap laugh riot in all sandbox games, not only Just Cause 2, is getting into a car, aiming it at a big target like the aforementioned gas station, charging at full speed, and then bailing out at the last second to save my daredevil avatar and obliterate everything in the path. But there is so much more to a sandbox game world than ripping it to pieces. I can also simply exist there. Do you ever just chill? The island of Panau is a paradise of beaches, jungles, and mountains. The archipelago of hundreds of tiny islands rises from the water. Why not go swimming? Not as an escape from the Panau authorities, but for sport or to see what's down there. The heavy flora of Panau is mysteriously absent fauna. There are no deer, no tigers, hardly a bird in sight. An empty island populated only by Earth's most pervasive destroyer of itself. The citizens of Panau don't say anything. This is not Liberty City or Vice City. We don't overhear their conversations. They are too preoccupied, too afraid to engage in idle conversation, for fear that they are being watched, being recorded by their oppressor. A city in Panau is almost as silent as a mountain, climbing up, grappling inch by inch to the highest point, but always alone. Nobody will go mountain climbing with me. I love quiet moments in video games, particularly games that are otherwise uproariously loud in every other moment, because that's the player denying the world of the game and creating a new world, an island that is isolated from the bombast and noise and hell of the world across the sea. It's defiant. The world does not need to be bad, even though it usually is. While most of Just Cause 2 can be summed up as a pyro simulator, the missions are varied enough to keep me guessing and on my toes. Here are some of my favorite escapades in Panau. In this mission, I need to rescue an operative and make our getaway in a bright yellow truck, smashing motorcycle Nazis and anything else that stands in the way. The sandboxy physics engine is always playing with itself and creating unique scenarios. And in this case, the Nazis crash into one another before I even get to them, fashioning a new fiery obstacle and catapulting my banana-colored gas guzzler into the air and then straight to hell. The operative narrowly escapes, but the danger is not subsided. I hijack a Nazi truck after ventilating its now former owners, but its back driver's side tire is missing, grinding metal into the pavement as I escort the operative to relative safety. Sparks fly, and so does this motorcyclist. What the hell happened? Another Nazi biker dead. And what's this? A ramp? I glide through the air. By coincidence, an airport, runway, and jet are in the background. The jet remains on the ground while my Jeep is airborne. There's the finish line. One more meaningless collision and the operative is secure. In this next mission, I must guide Indy to 3 rockets at the Panau Space Center and sabotage them, but the clock is ticking. Good thing I just happened upon the biggest gun in the world.
Classes! They have a hidden 4th satellite, and the liftoff sequence has already been initiated.
What a twist! There is a 4th target, and I need to fly a Nazi jet to take it out. Success! In one of the later missions, I need to rescue someone from a mysterious island where 100-year-old soldiers from World War II have been hiding out. There is some history there. As late as 1974, some Japanese holdouts remained hidden, refusing to believe that the war had ended. In Just Cause 2, it's more fantastical than sad. Emperor Hirohito built a sci-fi lightning tower on the island, and naturally I need to blow it up. This one is my absolute favorite, but mostly because of how off the rails it got because of my bad driving. I need to drive Miss Stacy to meet up with her fella, and I need to do it in a pink limousine that I absolutely trash before I even meet up with her. Come on, come on. No. Up, up, up. Ah. The wild thing is that right after dropping off Miss Stacy and the mission officially ends, Nazis converge on our location. For Stacy! The big missions are the agency missions. In Just Cause 2, the CIA is basically never called the CIA. It's always the agency. When I had to meet up with CIA butthole Tom Sheldon, instead of pressing Y to begin, I kicked the shit out of him. Unlike other NPCs who run away and or die when I shoot them, Sheldon can't die. It would soft-lock the game. I wanted to see if I could railing kill Sheldon over this ledge here. There it is. He had it coming.
Music video, I can't see it. If the music don't sound good, who cares what the picture looks like? Then Pioneer gives me their laser disc player. It's a video turntable that works with a laser beam, and that laser beam makes all the difference, they tell me. I'm a little skeptical, but I listen. I listen to Flashdance. I listen to Duran Duran. I listen to Raiders of the Lost Ark. I even listen to me, and I sound good. I sound better than good. Fact is, the stereo on the Pioneer Laserdisc is as good as anything I ever heard on my stereo. And according to the experts, the picture blows videotape away. Now, who am I to argue?
The Pioneer Laserdisc brand video disc player. Video for those who really care about audio.
I like it so much I got one for my friend George Sherritt.
For the Laserdisc dealer nearest you, call 800-621-5199.
Just Cause 2 dabbles in comedy and satire, not pointedly or hitting a specific target, but South Parkian in its all-sides, no-sides buckshot. When Rico Rodriguez makes contact with the factions in Panau, opposed to Baby Panay, he finds that they are either too selfish or too extremist by the standards of Western liberal centrism. Everyone gets roasted, but nobody feels the heat. For example, the Roaches are capitalists through and through, but they are going about their capitalism in the wrong way, the un-American way. The roaches are criminals and therefore unsanctioned by the lords of capitalism, not out of any moral objection, but because of competition. Capitalists use their resources to buy access to politicians, change the laws to better serve their interests, and then claim that they have done so legally and entirely above board. The invisible hand of the market is not invisible at all, it's just ignored when convenient. Lobbyists and offshore accounts are not invisible. Meanwhile, criminal entrepreneurs without the resources to buy access serve their own interests without political favors. Unfair, say the legal capitalists, who then use their access to not only criminalize but demonize anyone who engages in low-level crime as a survival technique. The Ular boys have a different ideology: nationalism. Just Cause 2 portrays the Ular boys as xenophobic, but there is a stark difference between the nationalism of a superpower and the nationalism of impoverished nations and client states operating under a coerced, uneven trade agreement. Nationalism within a superpower aims to set itself above the rest of the world and criminalize immigration from impoverished nations, whereas nationalism from these nations and client states primarily exists to oppose intervention from superpowers. It's the difference between an assault and self-defense. When your home is treated like a discount dollar store by superpowers, what else are you supposed to do except fight? Just Cause 2 does not often acknowledge this difference and treats the Ulars like religious fanatics. Finally, the Reapers are socialists who want to free Panau from the oppression of baby Panay and diminish the influence of capitalist nations within its borders. These are the good guys, right? Not so fast. The leader of the Reapers is portrayed as conniving and unwilling to fight in the trenches with her people. There is an atmosphere of cynicism in Just Cause 2, but it's not some shades of gray, nuanced take on global politics. It's more like, everybody sucks. Except you, the player of this video game. You are Rico Rodriguez, centrist superhero. Criminal capitalists are the bad capitalists, the Ulars are zealots for wanting Western powers out, and the socialists are secretly more self-absorbed than anyone else. If you're listening to this and you're about to say, well, they are tankies, 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 then congratulations on being an anti-communist in 2025. You don't have to be a communist to know that anti-communism is a tool of fascism, so maybe just check that and shut the fuck up. Don't you have another election to botch? Bolo Santosi is the leader of the Reapers. She's a beautiful, smoking hot commie with a hidden agenda, and I love her. She speaks to the player in honeypot terms, laying down sexual innuendo really thick. She is down with the thickness. Bolo gives the impression that if Rico performs just one more mission, she will sleep with him, and indirectly the player. Sure, I know I'm being played and that Just Cause 2 contains no sex scenes whatsoever, but when the time comes for Rico to choose one of the three factions in the final act, do you think I'm choosing anyone else but Che Guevara? I'm already role-playing this game as Indiana Jones, may as well use my imagination further and pretend that we go to Bone Town over the ending credits. Bolo is one of the few Just Cause characters who reappears in other games. Rico, Rico's handler Maria, and Rico's boss Tom appear in multiple games, but they are central to the CIA's operations. Of course they re-emerge, but Bolo is the only NPC that was just too popular to confine to one game. In Just Cause 3 and 4, she is inexplicably a DJ, seemingly having given up the revolution for a steady paycheck. Oh, and you can't sleep with her in the other games either. Sorry. There are nude mods for the game, but they are all related to the strippers at the Mile High Club, a floating gentleman's establishment that I found by accident. Here I am approaching this sex zeppelin flying a Nazi jet. A lot to unpack here, but oh, here comes another section. Just Cause 2 gingerly walks the tightrope of appealing to the bombastic, Amerocentric core values of its intended audience and critical of United States foreign intervention when it is convenient to the plot or to the likability of the protagonist. But it may be more accurate to say that Just Cause consistently and catastrophically falls off the tightrope. The first game, released in 2006, had Latino super spy Rico Rodriguez neo-conning his way across the fictional sun-kissed Caribbean nation of San Espirito, plotting to overthrow its dictator under the pretense that he is hiding weapons of mass destruction. Unlike the make-believe WMDs that convinced a coalition of the willing to invade Iraq in 2003, the 3 years later Just Cause is a fantasy what-if scenario in which this dictator actually does have WMDs, thereby superficially justifying the extra-legal assassination of a head of state. at least by the we-say-so moral standards of the American people. Just Cause 1 asks the question, would it have been morally correct to invade sovereign soil if our stated reason turned out to be true? And then answers, sure, why not? Never mind the civilian death toll, loss of infrastructure, displaced people, and all the other horrors of war. George W. Bush can sip non-alcoholic piss beer and sigh with satisfaction. A job well done. But Just Cause 2 was released in 2010, and the Swedish-owned Avalanche Studios updated its clumsy rhetoric. Now, when Rico Rodriguez topples a head of state, he also destroys their oil reserves so that the United States and other superpowers can't have access. But annihilating Panay's resources would also impoverish the nation for whoever takes over now that baby Panay has been buried at sea. It feels like an afterthought to the carnage that Rodriguez has inflicted on the island. An afterthought that we are not meant to have deeper, more challenging thoughts about. Rodriguez cut off American access to Panay's oil by cutting off Panay's oil altogether. What a moral victory! Best to just burn everything and pretend that scorches the blood from your hands. Feels a lot more righteous ignoring the cutscenes altogether and role-playing this game as Indiana Jones, taking out resurgent Nazi oil barons inexplicably taking shelter in East Asia. Fuck the Nazis, they can't have oil or anything else for that matter, but the fictional civilians of Panay with whom we are supposed to sympathize? Who feeds them now? And with what resources? How are they going to afford Indiana Jones Happy Meals? The tacked-on screw oil coda to the game is skin-deep and says little about American interventionism. It's like a side quest that acknowledges the sentiment of 2010, but it feels like a smokescreen to validate everything in the game that happened before the final act. Go America, have a Coke and smile. Even Tom Sheldon, the untrustworthy CIA operative who keeps Rodriguez in the dark, reluctantly agrees with vaporizing the oil reserves after the fact as a just cause. America doing right by the world somehow. Feels like Avalanche was cribbing from the Marvel movie Politics Playbook, referencing real-world situations while coloring very neatly within the lines to satisfy Americans and the Chinese. Hey, do you know which nation has the most oil reserves on Earth? It's not freedom-loving American ally Saudi Arabia, home of WrestleMania 43, Jesus Christ. No, it's Venezuela. You know, that sovereign nation that Donald Trump is actively speed-running regime change to plant an America-friendly dictator in place of Nicolas Maduro, murdering Venezuelan civilians under the pretense of protecting international waters from alleged drug dealers, supporting Maria Corina Machado, who dedicated her dubious Nobel Peace Prize award to our current fascist president, threatening a land war, throwing his excess corpulent weight around, all the classics. Playing the interventionist greatest hits popularized last century.
A few months ago, I told the American people I did not trade arms for hostages. My heart and my best intentions still tell me that's true, but the facts and the evidence tell me it is not.
The end of the Reagan era. I'm like Lemma 12, old enough to understand the shit had changed forever. They declared the war on drugs, like a war on terror. But what it really did was let the police terrorize whoever. But mostly black boys, but they would call us niggas and lay us on our belly while they fingers on their triggers. They boots was on our head, they dolls was on our crotches, and they would beat us up if we had diamonds on our watches. And they would take our drugs and monies as they pick our pockets. I guess that's the privilege of policing for some profits. But thanks to Reaganomics, prison turned to profits, cause free labor's the cornerstone of U.S. economics. Cause slavery was abolished unless you are in prison. You think I ambush it and then read the 13th Amendment. Involuntary servitude and slavery it prohibits. That's why they giving drug offenders time in double digits. Ronald Reagan was an actor, not at all a factor, just an employee of the country's real masters. Just like the Bushes, Clinton and Obama, just another talking head telling lies on teleprompters. If you don't believe the theory, then argue with this logic. Why did Reagan and Obama both go after Gaddafi? We invading sovereign soil, going after oil. Taking countries is a hobby paid for by the oil lobby. Same as in Iraq and Afghanistan. And Ahmadinejad say they coming for Iran. They only love the rich and how they loathe the poor. If I say any more, they might be at my door. Who the fuck is that? Staring in my window, doing that surveillance on Mr. Michael Render. I'm dropping off the grid before they pump the lead. I leave you with 4 words, I'm glad Reagan dead.
Well, that's one in the books. Please join me in about a week as Kill All Nazis November continues on my channel. Next time, return to Castle Wolfenstein. Bye for now.